Yo, what is up, everybody? Today is December 21st. It's almost Christmas. And up until now, all my temperate climate bonsai trees have been happily sitting on the benches out here in the cold. Pretty happy. But this weekend, it's going to be a little too cold just to leave them on the benches. It's going to be well below 0 degrees Celsius. If you speak Fahrenheit, it's going to be down into the low teens. I don't think it's going to be single digits, but definitely the low teens. So we want to protect these trees a little bit more than they are right now. All the deciduous trees in your yard that lose their leaves and come back to life in the spring do so because their roots are way underground where they stay nice and cozy and warm away from the cold air. But we keep our trees in pots above ground, so the root systems are above the ground in the pot, and they can get as cold as the air around them because they're not deep underground. So we got to provide a little extra protection. One of the simplest things you can do to protect the roots of your trees is move them from the bench and just put them down on the ground. So just putting the pot on the ground is going to give the tree a little protection. The ground is a heat source, and there's been some studies that show the air under the pot is 5 to 7 degrees warmer than the cold air around the pot. So just moving them to the ground, say it's 25 degrees outside, it might be above freezing in the soil of the bonsai inside the pot. By the way, the reason I'm going between my raised garden bed is because the house and the garden bed is going to act as a bit of a windbreak. So that cold wind all winter can really damage the trees. So you do want to have a little bit of something to break up the wind. That's going to go a long way to keep all the little twiggy parts of the trees alive. And I do want to do a little bit of prep. I'm not going to just throw the trees on the ground. If you look over here, you can see, or I don't know if you can see, but I can see here, there's all these mole tunnels from where moles are digging underneath. So I want to prevent moles and mice from doing too much damage. So I'm going to treat this whole area with a little bit of this animal repellent that gets rid of all sorts of stuff, moles and mice included. So we're gonna spray that all over here just to tell them to kick rocks and get out of here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of, I have a weed cloth. I'm going to put a weed cloth down in the middle, put all the trees on the weed cloth, and then pile the mulch in around the pots. So I'm coating the wood with this. It says it lasts up to 2 months after it dries. So I'm coating all the wood on the inside where my trees are going to be. I'm blasting some on the ground too. And then I'm going to put that weed cloth down. I soaked all the wood with the repellent and put the weed cloth down. Some of the main ingredients in this stuff is like garlic and cloves, and it stinks. I smell it. I'm going to soak this thing a little bit. Then we're going to get the trees and mulch inside here. All right, I'm ready to start bringing trees over, but not all of them are going to stay outside all winter. Some are going to go into my unheated garage. How do we decide which trees stay outside and which trees are going to go inside? Well, that's where the knowledge of species and how hardy they are comes into play. You got to know what kind of species of tree you have, and you got to know how hardy they are. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google USDA hardiness zone, and you should find a chart that will show you or a map rather. You'll find a map that will show you which hardiness zone you're in. And then once you know that, you can Google tree species with, the term hardiness zone next to them. So this is a crabapple. You could Google crabapple hardiness zone, and you'll find that this crabapple is cold hardy down to zone 4. And when I look at the map, I see that in Eastern Connecticut, I'm in zone 6. So I'm good to go with this crabapple. This is gonna stay outside all year. This here is a bloodgood Japanese maple. This isn't quite as cold hardy as my crabapple, so that's going to come into my unheated garage. The other thing, the other type of tree that you might want to protect in an unheated garage or greenhouse if you have one, I don't have a greenhouse so we use the garage, are trees that have been sick or worked on. Like you say you just repotted the root system, or you trunk chopped it or something, and the tree is not as strong as some of its peers. So these two trees right here, these trees got scorched all summer, lost a ton of the leaves, had burns on all the leaves, and were really not growing so well all summer. So these trees, there's a Korean hornbeam and a European hornbeam. We're going to protect them in the garage as well. This is probably dead. This is like a citrus tree, some kind of Australian finger lime or something. And it's been outside in too much frost. So actually, he might be dead, and I'm sorry. Anyway, let's bring the trees over. All right, that's everybody. You can see I put some of the smaller trees in the middle. And what I'm going to do now is mulch everything in. Put mulch in between everything and up the edge of the pot a little bit. One more application of my repellent to the edges of, to the outside of all the pots, okay? It's safe for the plants and hopefully keep some mice away, but maybe I'm just being paranoid. Better safe than sorry. All right, we are all mulched in. Now these trees are gonna stay here all winter long. I'm still gonna occasionally check them for dryness. And if my hose is isn't frozen, I can water them sometimes. But hopefully we get a lot of snow and they just stay buried underneath the snow until next year. All right, let's get all these little guys into the garage. And then I'll show you what the setup is in there. We are now inside my unheated garage. And these couple of little guys are gonna sit in front of this window all winter long until the nighttime lows are back up closer to 32, maybe in February and March. But they actually don't need the window. Without any leaves on them, they don't need the sunlight. But I'm gonna keep it there just in case. Something tells me they're better off like that. But yeah, there we go. We got my outdoor trees and my indoor trees. All safe and sound for the winter. We'll do a little in here too. I'm a bit paranoid about the mice. I've seen some pictures online of people really having their trees mauled by mice. So just gonna do the base of the table, maybe the pots a little bit. And this could be totally overkill, but better safe than sorry, you know? I'll put a couple traps out too. All right, so that's how I overwinter my bonsais. The more temperate, more cold hardy trees that can stay outside all winter are gonna do so, but I've got the pots on the ground and they're mulched in so that they get a little extra protection from the frost around the roots. And then the ones that aren't quite as cold hardy, they're in the unheated garage. They're gonna stay there maybe until March when the temperatures start to rise again. So I hope this was helpful. If you've got some outdoor bonsai and you're in New England, you know, maybe you can steal some tips and tricks. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm out. See you later.